Hello everyone, Foxy Games here, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV full story playthrough. When we last left off with Foxy, she had just finished things up in Alamigo and Doma. More specifically Alamigo, when the Empire attacked. Our friends have been stricken with a mysterious ailment, or some sort of condition which stripped their souls from their bodies, and for all intents and purposes they are comatose. Brought perhaps to the realm of the First, according to sources that we are still quite dubious of their intentions. But even with that in mind, we can't just sit on our laurels and allow them to languish wherever they are. We have to find them. And the truth lies in the Crystal Tower. And Tataru has something to tell us about that. Also, we get a weapon crate. Interesting. Good news, Foxy. We've had a stroke of luck in our search for that beacon. Apparently our colleagues have stumbled across a hidden path leading down into the hollows around the base of the Crystal Tower. A path I doubt we'd have ever found had the Ironworks and Sons not added their numbers to the party. Thanks to them, we have eager eyes plenty down there, checking under rocks and peering into every nook and cranny. Still, it sounds like there's a lot of ground to cover. Then we'd better go and give them a hand. Now, we're not going to be lazy. Our friends' lives are at stake here. My thoughts exactly. The sooner we find this beacon, the sooner you can travel to wherever it is this mysterious voice is coming from. And the sooner we can work out how to help our friends. We have to find a way to wake them up, and before the Empire comes calling again, meaning we have no time to lose. There's a boat in North Silvertier waiting to ferry people to the site, so let's be on our way. It must be rather inaccessible from the normal path to the tower. And as you've seen, we have indeed equipped Foxy with the Scion Traveler's attire, which I think looks quite nice. Also got a nice sword, presumably from Alamigo, or Doma rather, and the ever-reliable, maybe, Hellsfortom's shield. You recall, unfortunately, it didn't prove to be so reliable for Lord Orchiphant. Oy, but it's proved well for us so far. By the way, as of the time of this recording, it is October 5th. I realize I've taken my sweet time in getting all this done, but a lot of things have kept me from getting it done in a timely manner, not excluding laziness. My point is, this may take some time to come out because next month, Endwalker launches. Heading to the survey site, madam. It's on the eastern shore of the lake, and the swiftest way to get there is by boat. Let's go. Some of our Scion adventurer friends are here. Aenor. The Archons need our help. Next to that, even matters of the heart don't seem to matter. You're still thirsting after the boulders, are you? I've detected no slavering beasts in the vicinity. My sister accepted. Oh dear. Well, Aenor is a bit of a slavering beast when it comes to the Boulder Twins. Oh dear. The Ironworks is out in force. Master Garland's orders. Speaking of Master Garland, he does not seem to be here. The towering edifice that is the outer wall of the Crystal Tower's foundation. The Labyrinth of the Ancients, to be precise. Oh, so we're actually standing outside the Labyrinth. Cool. Coltene. The air weighs heavily upon me here. 'Tis little wonder, I suppose, when standing in the shadow of such an imposing structure. Yeah, the Crystal Tower is something to behold. Now, there is stuff over there that we could look at, but nothing we can interact with. I'm sure the game will bring us in that direction. Hello, Hori. Foxy, the search continues, but I have no doubt we shall find this beacon of yours. Tataru.
Look how many people there are! Should we get to it then? Pick up anything that seems the least bit device-like, and we'll make ourselves a pile.
Well, if it isn't the hero of the hour, maybe you'll change our look. We've found bugger all without you.
Biggs! Wedge!
Aye, aye. Well, we could hardly say no to a call for aid from the Scions. Jesse'd call it the chief of some other business. So we'll be working twice as hard to make up for his not being here.
Thrice as hard, even.
Thank you, both of you. I'm sure we'll find that beacon in no time.
That's the hope anyway, isn't it?
I'm not seeing anything out here. Do you reckon you could squeeze in there, Wedge?
And get stuck halfway? No, thank you.
I could try if you like.
Tataru, no! We couldn't ask you to do that.
Oh, I'll be fine. This receptionist is not afraid to get her hands dirty.
I love her. She's so cute. Oh, Foxy sees something, though.
Sorry, I meant to say, the scholars haven't finished their preliminary assessment of the site yet, so we're not supposed to venture too far in. What's that you got there? Now that looks promising.
Isn't that the ironworks symbol? Counterfeiters?
Now I have you.
You are right.
What's happening?
Stay with me. Focus on my voice. Let expanse contract. Eon become instant.
Wait, this must be it. The device. Oh, this is supposed to happen.
Throw wide the gates that we may pass.
Safe journey, warrior of light. Find our friends and bring them home.
The dawn's light will shine again.
Oh, do not look at me so.
You're slaves to a tyrant. There's no freedom in that.
This is one battle you cannot fight.
Away with you! Say your spirited accounts always comes a welcome.
We did everything right! Everything that was asked of us, and still it came to this!
Your time has not yet come.
Minfilia.
From endless dreams I awake. Something vague, yet urgent, calls me to action once more.
Rare to meet someone out here who's not a peddler themselves. What brings you into the wilds this time of night?
Awful bright for nighttime. What do you mean, this time of night?
Well, if it ain't the oldest joke in the book. Me granddad, God rest his soul, used to tell that one to the barman at kicking out time. And when, pray tell, did we last have a dark night? You rotten old drunk, you, he'd reply.
Yeah.
Over 100 bleeding years ago, that's when. You got that look down to a T. I'd almost think you meant it. Ah, got to you, did they? Poor beggar. That explains it then. Well, I've roads to travel and wares to sell, but you'd best hurry along to the town nearby. Just head east through the trees and aim for the Shining Tower. You'll find the place soon enough. 'Tis the biggest settlement for malms around. Go on now, friend. They'll take good care of you in the Crystarium.
Dizzying heights it rises, the gleaming spire, its tip threatening to pierce the blinding canopy. There, it will all begin anew, between dark and light, the pure and the corrupt, the one true struggle.
Well, welcome to the first. A familiar profile looms over the horizon, but we stand in unfamiliar environs. Beautiful purple leaves, strangely sparse grass, and a sky filled with an everlasting light. The Warriors of Darkness did mention something to that effect, did they not? Well, let's make our way there, shall we? Ah, settlement. The Crystarium, as it were.
Halt! Every face in this city I know. Yours, I do not. This is the threshold of the Crystarium, stranger, and I am its gatekeeper. If you would enter, you will answer my questions. From where do you hail?
Now that's an interesting question. Well, we know we're from out of this world. Does she know what the source is? Let's just be honest.
The source? What is this cryptic nonsense?
Okay, so she doesn't.
Had you given me an honest answer, I would not have barred your way. We care little here for a person's place of origin. But instead, you chose concealment. And I will not suffer you to pass.
Oh dear.
That one had eaten. It must have gulped down the whole hand, ring and all.
Oh, and we were just over there too. So what the hell was that thing?
Everything all right, Captain?
It's you.
Quite all right, my lord. Just a stray sin eater, and a weak one at that.
I see. Weak or not, we should be on the lookout for more. But I see you've met my guest. I will escort her to the Crystarium myself, if you've no objections.
Another of your mysterious friends, is it? I should have known.
So you knew about the others, and yet none of them have told you of the source. I guess I'm the more honest
Very well.
one.
I'll inform the others your guest is to be given the run of the city. Pray forgive my less than cordial welcome. May the rest of your stay with us be a pleasant one.
Nah, she doesn't seem so bad.
Come with me. I will answer whatever questions you have when we are somewhere more private.
Okay, Mr. Crystal Man.
Right then, before we plunge into the wheres and wherefores, let me first thank you for answering my summons.
Not like I had much of a choice.
I had intended to bring you directly to my personal quarters, but I fear my aim was slightly off. That you are still able to make the crossing unharmed is a great relief. And so, we come to the question of where. The realm in which you now find yourself belongs to one of the 13 reflections, or shards. The first, to be precise, even if its inhabitants are largely oblivious to the fact. As to wherefore, having been awarded the rather grandiose title of Crystal Exarch, I, in my capacity as caretaker of the Crystarium, thought to seek the aid of you and your companions.
Are the other scions here, or do you have any idea how much trouble you've caused? Well, he has, but let's at least give him a chance.
That is a question with no simple answer. But all shall be explained in due course, I promise you. Let us begin with the glaring skies up above. Here in the First, the world has been all but consumed by primordial light. It began a century ago, by this realm's reckoning. A luminous flood swallowing everything in its path. More than 9/10 of this star was lost.
Wow.
And the fortunate few who survived are hounded by abominations born of that catastrophe even now. Sin Eaters, we call them. The creature you saw earlier was one such monstrosity. It was to save the First from this menace that I learned to bridge the rift between worlds. That I might call upon the aid of the greatest of heroes. And though it meant depriving a world of its champion, I had to try, for in saving the First, you would bring salvation to the source as well. But what manner of host harangues his guests in the middle of the road? Let us continue our talk within the Crystarium.
Looks like rock candy. And now I want rock candy.
Vibrant city. The sole sanctuary for the living in a world all but resigned to oblivion. Each stone was laid with hope. The town itself a symbol, a monument to defiance in the face of death. No would-be hero could fail to answer its call. For who among us does not yearn for salvation?
A beacon of hope in this shattered world. Man. The sons of St. Koinok and the Ironworks and our old friend Grahatia, they'd be proud to see this place, I'm sure. And here we are. Welcome, my friend, to the Crystarium. New completion music. Let's check out this weapon coffer. I love the music here, my god. It's not better than what we have, but we could at least take a look, and might even use it. Oh. Hold on. I have a sword that looks like that. I have a shield that looks like that. Huh. Oh well. More gear. Interesting. Now, a full and frank discussion in the privacy of my study would seem to be in order. But I think our conversation would be more meaningful were you first to gain a firmer grasp on the situation here. To that end, I would like you to visit a few of the Crystarium's civic leaders, and glean something of this world and its predicament. As you can see, this path will take you directly to the Aetheryte, a convenience which I am sure you are only too familiar. Being the rightful object of my summoning spell, you should in theory be able to reach all the way back along your etheric trail and find a connection to the source, believe it or not. I strongly suggest you complete this attunement before venturing any further. After you've done so, walk up the steps next to the Aetheryte and head out to the left to the Crystalline Mean. This is where you'll find our collective of crafters and gatherers, as well as their spokeswoman, Catless, one of the people I should like you to meet. Another is Morin. To reach him and his Cabinet of Curiosity, you'll want to avoid the aforementioned steps and take the exit on the left, and simply continue straight along and down until you come to the large doors at the end of the path. The third and final person I should like you to meet is Braggy, our man in charge of trade and distribution. He is to be found in the markets, which you can access from the opposite end of the Aetheryte Plaza. In seeking out each of my colleagues, you will visit the major districts of the city and hopefully gain a feel for the place. I trust my directions were simple enough. Crystal clear. To the right and down and where now? No. Foxy's not dumb. I might be, but Foxy isn't. Very good. I concede the layout of the Crystarium owes more to historic necessity than planning, but I'm sure you'll learn its twists and turns before long. In all honesty, the true challenge may be in finding the right way to approach its citizens. As you discovered during your encounter with the captain, the people of this world are unaware of the existence of other stars, and will struggle to accept the truth of your origin. That being the case, when they ask whence you hail, as they inevitably will, I suggest you claim to share a homeland with the Crystal Exarch. There is an unspoken rule here about peering too deeply into that particular mystery. When you've finished making the rounds, pray meet me in the large courtyard at the center of town. Until then. And new quest accepted music. I don't know if it played it earlier. I imagine it did, I just neglected to mention it. Ah, but what a beautiful place this is, with a beautiful soundtrack. I love the Crystarium. Come on, Alpha, let's go explore. Let's go ahead and attune to this Aetheryte. By focusing your senses, you detect the flow of vastly distant currents of ether. Your connection to these energies is faint but stable, and should allow teleportation to Aetherites in the source. Very good. So we're not stranded here. Let's head upstairs. We'll go in the order that our new friend has told us. And we'll be grabbing any Ethernet shards along the way. And just look at this place, though. There's an Ethernet down here. But we'll get that on the way to the Crystalline Mean, I think. Either way. Irlalf. You've a surplus of supplies for your next journey? If not, you'd do well to stock up before you depart. I speak from experience when I say better safe than sorry. Of course. Well, these people do look basically the same as people from the source, which is no surprise, really. Here's our Lady Catless. Rare to see a place so well stocked with goods, isn't it? But not here. I'm going to guess you're new to our fair city. Well, for what it's worth, you've chosen a fine sanctuary. The Exarch can throw up a barrier if the Sin Eaters come knocking, so it's a damn sight safer in here than it is out there. Safer and more civilized, too. Thanks to us and the Mean, we work together to procure materials and resources and craft the goods that make city life possible. This is the place to visit if you need a coat mended or a kettle forged. Just don't go thinking it'll all be handed to you on a plate like those Yule Morin layabouts. Here in the Crystarium, we work for a living. Though I see you're no stranger to honest labor, you don't have that whiff of indolence about you like some folk I've met. Still, I can't quite pin down your profession. Where is it that you're from? One of the Exarch's countrymen, you say? I see. Well then, I'll work twice as hard to make you feel welcome. Our city wouldn't even exist if it weren't for him, and any friend of his is a friend of ours. It's really quite incredible when you think about it. They say his grand magic summoned the Crystal Tower into existence, pulled the entire thing out of thin air. It wasn't long before droves of refugees began congregating around its base, desperate for shelter after losing their homes to the flood. And that's how the Crystarium began. At the Exarch's invitation, buildings started going up, and with the help of some curious relics brought forth from the tower, the place gradually expanded into the thriving metropolis you see today. The city stood here for decades now, yet the eldest among us swear the Exarch looks exactly the same as he did back then. He is indeed a man of many mysteries. For all his secrecy, he has never let us down. So if he, and you, wish to remain silent about your shared homeland, then the folk here will respect your wish for privacy. I am, however, more than a little curious to see any crafting talent you might be hiding. If you've ought to contribute on that front, be sure to come back and visit once you've had a chance to settle in. Well, I have no talent for crafting, but meh. Just ask for Catless, and I'll find you a niche here at the Crystalline Mean. You can help us keep the cogs of the city greased and turning. Your exchange with Catless has taught you about life in the Crystarium. Alright. Feel free to look around the workshops, but try not to distract the artisans. If they fall behind in their quotas, then everyone suffers for it. Now isn't this interesting? Doesn't that look decidedly Allegan? Yeah, it's buzzing. That's all it does. Okay. Must be damaged in some way. Let's see. The Amaro launch, that's up here, so we'll go ahead and grab that since it's close. The Ethernet shards look like they were pulled directly off the tower. Would make sense. What do you have to say, Iril? You're also a, Viera. I serve the Crystarium Guard as quartermaster, overseeing deliveries of armaments to our numerous outposts across Lakeland. If you have an eye for weaponry, I encourage you to visit Ballistics downstairs. You'll find a most impressive arsenal of war machines on display. Interesting. Jesrin. Ether compasses? Why yes, I have distributed a fair few in the course of my duties. Unfortunately, I have not seen any like the one you describe. I shall keep an eye out for it, though. Well, I didn't lose mine. It's right here. Cassard. If you come looking for work, I might have a spot for another guard. Our work is a little bit more intense than mere guard duty. Alright, back downstairs we go. Alright, we'll head down here and grab this, then we'll talk to some people. Don't go breaking your legs now, Foxy. Now these guys look rather familiar, don't they? Look like the Amalja. A little different. You are a visitor to the Crystarium. Feel free to wander the rookery, but keep an eye on the Amaro. Some of them bite. Amaro, huh? Well, look at you. Aren't you adorable? Little dragon bird things. Having a nice little drinky drink. And they do have chocobos here. Looks like they're just as fierce as the ones in the source. The Amaro, too. We do get a fair amount of people coming by to observe or pet the Amaro. They don't mind, and neither do we, though know that if you stand around long enough, I will put you to work. That's fair, I suppose. Alright, can't go that way, so we will continue on our little journey. Ah, look at this now. How pretty this place is. I know it's not necessary to speak to all of these people, but they give a lot of flavor. Do you not find it inspiring that all the plants and trees here survived the flood of light? Mayhap you'd be interested in joining our study group. Maybe another time. Wondering what this tree's story is? So are we all, truth be told. It does not appear to be native to Lakeland, and yet we can find no records of it in any extant reference book. It's a mystery, but a beautiful one if you ask me. It doesn't look like anything from the source either. Maybe it's something from the bygone Allegan ages or something. A seed preserved in the Crystal Tower. Did you know that a massive subterranean water vein runs beneath the Crystarium? Not only does it provide us with pristine water for drinking and growing crops, but we can even make use of it to deliver goods to nearby outposts. He definitely planned all this Exarch, and look at that, they're doing hydroponics. That's pretty neat. Well met, traveler. You've come to the Hortorium, okay, the Crystarium Center for Agricultural Research. We strive to improve our ability to grow crops by developing new fertilizers and cultivation techniques. I thought this guy's name was Mad Lad for a second. It's Mal Lad. I'm working to improve the strains of fruit we grow. There's nothing like a sweet and succulent morsel to lift the people's spirits. Indeed. Welcome to the Hortorium. Here we grow the majority of the fruits and vegetables consumed by the residents of the Crystarium. We also conduct research in hopes of cultivating new and improved strains. I often frequent the Cabinet of Curiosity that I might glean something from the farming techniques of our forebears. We are scholars, not soldiers, but we are fighting for the future in our own way. Armies march on their stomachs, after all. You can't fight if you can't eat. This is the Whispering Gallery. As you can plainly see, we are in the midst of an important discussion. Keep your voice to a whisper. Sure. The Cabinet of Curiosity. There's a bunch of people here. Yes? Might I help you find something? With all the tomes stored on our shelves, I understand that searching for any one in particular can be a daunting task. Please let me know if I can be of service. I realize that it's amazing to see so much of mankind's knowledge in one place, but do try not to hurt your neck while taking it all in. I'd hate to have to send another person to Spagirix. Oh dear. A lot of Viera here. Oh, hello. I'm reading a passage about a shoebill. They say that a bird they say is possessed of a singular and supremely regal air. I must say, I'm finding it quite fascinating. You know what I'm finding quite fascinating? Your fucking kilt, dude. Jesus. You're rocking that. Can't go down, so let's go up. The books on the shelves are free for any resident of the Crystarium to borrow. You need only put in a request. The basement archives, however, are restricted to all but authorized personnel. No one else around here to speak to, so let's go up. Morin. Excuse me, miss. Are you really recently come to the city, perhaps? I'm quite familiar with our civic roles, you see, and, well, What I mean to ask is, have you brought any books with you? A rumpled scroll even? A scrap of scribbled on parchment? My apologies. Literature is something of an obsession of mine, as well as a profession. Librarian Morin at your service, and this humble collection is known as the Cabinet of Curiosity. As your powers of perception have likely informed you, my colleagues and I are responsible for curating all manner of tomes, documents, and other vehicles for the written word. As horrific as the loss of life and land wrought by the flood unquestionably was, the damage to recorded knowledge was no less catastrophic. We few do all we can to preserve what wisdom survived. But tell me, what brings you to the cabinet today? Looking for any title in particular? Mayhap a spot of academic research? Oh, so you have an interest in modern history. Splendid. A thorough review of recent events can often yield novel perspectives, I quite agree. If you would prefer something visual to accompany the account, then I think I have an illustrated history book for children somewhere. Just a moment, and I'll fetch it for you. I don't think we need a kid's book, but sure. And here we are. Would you like to pull up a chair? Make yourself more comfortable? Ahem. On with the lesson, then. "100 years ago, or near enough not to matter, villains known as the Warriors of Light slew the Shadow Keeper, the Steward of Darkness. In the wake of this tainted deed, light began to pour into the world as if from unseen cracks. It pooled and swelled without cease, until the day an enormous, blinding wave rose up and swept across our star. We call this calamity the Flood of Light. Everything it touched was leached of life and vigor, leaving naught behind but a luminous wasteland. What a book to read to children. And just when it all seemed that all would be lost, a savior appeared before us. The Oracle of Light. She stood twixt us and the approaching doom, and by her power did she stay the flood. Thus was Norvrant, and Norvrant alone spared the fate of erasure. Tragedy would, however, arrive in another form. From the blasted emptiness descended horrors of strange and terrible aspect, to bedevil the few folk who survived. These sin-eaters were light incarnate, and their fulgent presence stole the night from Norvrant's sky. Even now they circle the remaining bastions of civilization, ever on the hunt for us, ever hungering for our flesh. And thus did the world become what it is. Should you ever wish to hear the tale again, I would be glad to retell it for you. Or if you would rather I speak of other matters, that too would be my pleasure. I should be glad of the company. Your exchange with Warren has taught you about the Flood of Light. Something that was mentioned as far back as Heavensward. The contents of a book may be immutable, yet depending upon one's perspective, the lesson one learns may be different indeed. In other words, I am very much in favor of revisiting a story one has already read. Let's not. Not now, anyway. Maybe later. And that quote about revisiting stories and learning new perspectives and everything, I feel that really hard on this second playthrough of this game. Especially now that I've gotten to Shadowbringers, which I'm so excited to get deeper into. Alright, one last place to check out before we go and meet up with the Exarch again. Over here to the east, not the east, this is the south, what am I talking about? The Rotunda. There's a lot to take in here. Hello, traveler. How might I help you? What do you do here? I'm Bethard, born and raised in the Crystarium, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm intimately familiar with all that the city has to offer, of course, and I've always enjoyed sharing my knowledge with travelers and newcomers. It's become something of an unofficial job for me. And what is this place? The Crystarium grew up under the auspices of the Crystal Exarch in the wake of the Flood. It is, and always has been, a refuge for those fleeing the damage and twisted corruption wrought by the Light and its minions. We're also the only ones still want to fight back, nearly a century after the world's end began. That's why some consider the Crystarium to be the final bastion against the light that would consume us, the last true hope of mankind. Interesting. So there are still other people out there, they've just stopped fighting. Braggy. New to the city, friend? The spinning head and wide eyes give you away. Welcome. My name is Braggy, and I'm the master of these markets. They gave the district another official title, but I'm not in the habit of using it. Too florid by half. In any case, our merchants stock a range of equipment for mistel such as yourself, so finding something in your size shouldn't be a problem. Sorry, did you say mistel? Or, I'm actually a Mikote. Let's ask what this mistel is. Aye, something wrong. Let's see if we can't straighten this out. See those two in front of us? The shorter one is a hume, and the taller is an elf. The sturdy individual over there is a Galgant, while the one with the horns is a Dran. And then you have the large, scaly chaps with long tails and a knack for raising livestock. Those would be the Zun. Which is apparently not the name you know them by. Now I'm curious to know which far-flung region you hail from. Ah, the same as the Exarch, eh? Well, that explains it. You don't get much further flung than that. We've had a few of your lot pass through in recent years, and despite their obvious learning, they floundered over the simplest things. But not to worry. Should you find yourself confused by the local language or customs, I'll be here to answer your questions. Your exchange with Braggy has taught you about the people of the First, so they do go by different names. I didn't point them out earlier, but I'm sure you'll spot a fellow Mistel or another Ronso like me sooner rather than later. Even V's, like Captain Lena, aren't that unusual in the city. They call them V's, not Vieras. And this guy is a Ronso and not a rough guy. Aye, the Crystarium's long been a sanctuary for all manner of refugees, except maybe the dwarves. Those lot prefer to keep to themselves, in my experience. Dwarves, huh? Well, they have to be the Lalafell of this world. Anyway, there's a couple more Ethernet shards to grab here. Now we will have things to do here in the Pendant, but we won't be doing it right now. For now, we're going to go back to the Aetheryte Plaza and go find the Crystal Exarch. The last place that we haven't quite looked at yet. The XIV. The base of the Crystal Tower proper. Interesting, though, that it exists here, but also exists in the source. And that's all, I believe. You have now attuned yourself to all Ethernet shards of the Crystarium. Lakeland is now accessible as an Ethernet destination. Lakeland is the area outside of the tower. Well, how did you fare? Did my colleagues help you form a clearer picture of this world and its people? Ah, Life in the Crystarium, an account of how the Exarch summoned the Crystal Tower and the city built by refugees who sheltered here. The Flood of Light, an account of how the Warriors of Light caused the Flood, which later led to the appearance of Sin Eaters. And that's something that the Warrior of Light from this world told us. The Peoples of the First, an account of how the races of the Source are known by different names in the First. Yes, it seems you were treated to a most thorough introduction. I understand it was something of a chore, but 'twas necessary that you grasp these things before we proceed. As for the Crystal Tower's origin, you may have noted that details were sparse. The structure is, in fact, the selfsame one you know from the Source, transported to the First in its entirety. It was my first attempt at breaching the boundaries between worlds, something of a trial run for your eventual crossing, and although I do not know which era I tore it from, I do know that its arrival served to set the wheels of fate in motion. Aha, so it could be from a different time altogether. Gear. A deep gold cuirass offending. How does that look? Well, I won't say I'm a huge fan of it, and it's certainly not better than what we have. You've done as I requested and learned something of the world in which you find yourself. Now it's time I fulfilled my half of the bargain and explained what has befallen your comrades. That is a conversation I would rather have in the privacy of my quarters, however. I must go on ahead to the tower and organize a few things, but I shall see that the guard knows to admit you. Let's see. The tower's gate lies open, then. We could ask that, but we could also ask about an old friend. Just like that. Then Grahatia is... I'm not familiar with that name. Is there something I should know? An extraordinary tale, but I'm afraid I found no such individual residing in the tower when it passed into my care. Mayhap we can revisit the mystery another time. For now, I think it best that we focused on the present. Well, that's a bit disappointing. He must have torn it from an era prior to what we've done in our present back on the Source. Greetings, madam. The Exarch awaits you within. Let's go. Well, we sure never found this room in our version of the tower.
Welcome to the Ocular, my private study. We can speak here without fear of being overheard. I have much to explain, but the truths which I must touch upon in doing so would cause only distress and confusion to the people of this world. Pray keep that in mind.
Yeah, they hardly need it.
Now, I am sure you are desperate to know the fate of your fellow Scions. To put it simply, they are here in the First. Their arrival, however, was not as recent as you may imagine. Here, time flows at a different pace from that of the Source. In the space of a single hour in your home world, an entire year might pass in the First, and the reverse could also be true. The pace fluctuates without rhyme or reason, and it cannot be predicted. That said, we seem to be entering a period of near equivalence. And thus, for the moment, you need not overly concern yourself with the passage of time.
Oh, how convenient.
As for your companions, however, Y'shtola and Urianger have dwelled here for 3 winters, all told, while Thancred's count stands at 5.
5 years here. It was only a few hours, really, or a few days.
Even our more recent arrivals, Alphino and Alize, have lived in the First for almost a year. My intention had been to summon only you, but the art of reaching across worlds has proven exceedingly difficult to master. Thus it was that my fumbling hand closed upon those to whom your fate is most closely bound as well. As they were not the object of my summons, their transference was incomplete. Though they may appear to possess corporeal bodies, they are, in truth, merely spirits that one can see and touch. Consequently, while you yourself will be able to pass between worlds with relative freedom, they will not. Much as it grieves me, they are stranded here, unable to return.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time Thancred got teleported somewhere without his clothes. Then find a way to send them back. That is why we're here, after all.
We spent every waking hour searching for a way to reverse the summoning. In the beginning, at least. As you may have surmised, however, our efforts met with little success. And then we all but abandoned the endeavor once Urianger shared with us the vision he had witnessed during his journey through the rift. In that chaotic no-man's land between realms, time and space warp and blend in unexpected ways. What Urianger saw was the future. That which would one day come to pass.
Well, we also saw visions, but they were of the past.
In his vision of tomorrow, the first was rejoined with the source. This collision of worlds brought about the 8th umbral calamity and the deaths of countless multitudes. Amongst those who perished, Urianger clearly saw the fall of the Scion's mightiest champion. He watched you die. And thus did the Scions embrace their exile, and began searching this world for a means to forestall the coming catastrophe in yours. Their souls are stranded in the first, yes, but they have fought on, desperate to save their home and you from destruction. Nor have their efforts been in vain, for it was they who finally established that the elimination of the Sin Eaters will indeed serve to prevent the calamity. Considering these circumstances of our meeting, you would be forgiven for doubting my version of events. And so, before all else, I would suggest you track down your comrades and hear the tale from their lips. I shall of course be happy to assist in these reunions, and you need not make any decisions regarding your involvement until you are certain of where you stand. Meanwhile, I promise I will not rest until I have found a way to help your friends return home. What say you? Have I earned your trust for the moment, at least?
Let's see. For the moment, but I'll see you keep that promise, or for want of a better choice. You know, he's been nothing but honest with us, for the most part. And it's definitely in our friend's nature to fight on. So, I'd say he's probably telling us the truth. So yeah, for the moment, you've earned our trust.
Excellent. You will not regret this. With that settled, we shall have to see about getting you ready for the road. Traveling across the rift has no doubt left you weary. I will arrange for a room where you might rest in comfort. While it's being prepared, perhaps I can show you around.
I don't know what these particles are floating in the air. Must be particles of light coming from the sky. The Crystarium boasts a number of residential districts, but I have been informed that a room has just become available at Dependence, which, as it turns out, is perfect. Our path there will take us past the markets, and I was hoping to give you my own introductions to their wares. Come along. Well, I guess if we're being invited, we might as well. He seems very pleasant, after all. Then again, the last guy we thought was quite pleasant turned out to be a raving madman. So, well, we'll have to see. Hopefully this crystal stranger is everything he seems to be.
This is the Musica Universalis, the commercial heart of the Crystarium. What you might need to prepare for your journeys can be purchased here. Ah, yes. You must be curious about the currency. Fear not. The gil you carry will serve you well enough. Each nation once minted its own coins, but 'twas all a jumbled mess following the flood. After much debate, the local merchants eventually elected to revert to the old ways, wherein a coin's value was decided by the worth of its metal. As for a unit of measurement, we agreed upon the term gil, a word borrowed from coins uncovered within the Crystal Tower here. And as our traders peddled their wares across the land, so too did our usage of gil become common practice.
Well, isn't that convenient?
From what your stola tells me, a standard coin from the source equates to exactly 1 gil here, or near enough not to matter. Our way of life has benefited greatly from the artifacts we recovered from the tower, some of which may be familiar to you.
Yes, I've seen some decidedly elegant-looking contraptions. Look at those tombstones. That exasperated look. Ugh, I have to collect tombstones all over again.
But I fear it would not be practical for us to provide everything to which you are accustomed. You shall need a means to access the commodities of your home world. A Van Kerm Sin?
Yes, I'm here. Of course I'm here. What amusements do you have for me today?
My dear Feo Ul, paragon of pixie kind. For you, I have the most vital task. This fine lady is a friend from a distant realm. And we have need of a means to ferry things back and forth from her home. Might you be able to assist us in this matter?
You came from beyond, didn't you? From beyond the rift? How wonderfully exciting! What a brave and reckless and marvelous thing you did! You've the heart of a pixie, you do. After careful consideration, I have decided to grant you my assistance. Make a pact with me and the fun can begin. But answer me this, traveler. Did your garments come with you when you crossed over? Your teeth? Your nails?
Yes.
Just as I thought! Then you've a good stout connection with your home through which all your belongings, great and small, may easily pass. From this moment forth I will be your Isnefis, and you my Snayak. Like the branch which sprouts from the sapling, our bond will flow unbroken from one to the other. Raise your hand. 'Tis done. We are bound now, dearest sapling. Come then. Make your request. Tell me your desire. I wish to visit this world of yours.
Mayhap a message to your friends in the Source to inform them of your safe arrival.
Let's send a message to Tataru. She's the one who's most worried about us, I'd say.
Consider it done.
I love Feoul. They're adorable.
As you heard, that was Feoul of the Pixies. Their kind possess an affinity for magic akin to that of arcane beings. They rarely show themselves in populated areas, but Feo is insatiably curious even by Pixie standards, and seems to have taken a liking to the Crystarium. Right, we were going to organize a room for you, weren't we? Come along.
I say they for Feo because, as far as I can tell, the pixies in this game have no gender. As a result of your pact with Feoul, you have access to delivery moguls, market boards, and summoning bells within the first. So it's an in-game way to explain why you can access things from the first, or from the source while in the first. We'll see more of the pixies later on, but right now it's time to settle in. Ah, there you are. I was just finalizing the matter of your accommodation. You'll have a private room here at the Pendants for the duration of your stay to make use of as you see fit. When you are ready to retire, the manager will show you to your lodgings. Pray rest and recuperate, and we shall reconvene in the Ocular Anon. I believe that covers all the practical concerns. Thank you for answering my call, Foxy. We are denied the comforting blanket of night, but may peaceful dreams attend you nonetheless. I like him. I'm still not sure about him, but I like him. A pleasure to meet you, miss, and welcome to your new home at the Pendants. Your room is ready if you'd care to retire. Let's do so. Not exactly a peaceful night, but...
You?
Oh, look who it is.
I know you. You're the warrior of light from the Source.
Warrior of Darkness.
What? Did you just... You can hear me? Oh, gods, how long has it been? That was what I called myself in your world. The Warrior of Darkness. My real name is Ardbert. I used an alias in the Source. A daft one, looking back. If you recall my tale, it was my comrades and I who caused the flood. We thought our home doomed. And so we listened to the Ascians. Let them guide us to the Source, and tried to hasten their goddamned ardor. I remember when we fell, defeated by you and yours. I remember our audience with Minfilia. How she listened to our pleas and returned our souls to the First. The flood was poised to swallow Norvrant. Minfilia and my friends, they surrendered what little they had left to hold it back. Just faded away, leaving me to bear witness. Tell me, do you know the year? How much time has passed since we caused the flood?
At least a century, buddy.
100 years. 100 long years. My hands find no purchase. My gestures catch no eye, and my pleas, be they whispered or screamed, reach not a single ear. I am a shade, cursed to do naught but drift. I feel as if I've been walking forever. I hardly noticed when my mind and body began to fray at the edges. Bang! My senses were sharp again. I felt like a fish being reeled in, and before I knew it, I found myself in this room.
He was drawn to us.
Why is it that you can see me? What are you even doing here, come to that? You were summoned to save the First. A waste of time. This world is beyond saving, like those who try to save it. Muddled as my mind may be, I've not forgotten that. But if fate has brought me to you, the one person in this God's-forsaken world who can see and hear me, then perhaps there is a reason I endured. If I can find out why I was left behind, then maybe I can bring this journey of mine to an end. Well, I'll be watching, Warrior of Light. But do me a favor. Be careful out there. This world has had its fill of heroes.
Understandably so. Alright, let's go and find our crystal friend. Mistress Foxy, the Exarch awaits you within. Let's go and see him. Nobody else to greet us? Didn't think so.
Ah, how did you find your new quarters? I trust you were able to rest?
Either well enough, thank you, or I had a ghostly visitor. Let's mention Ardbert.
I was not aware the room was haunted, and you were rather tired. Well, should you receive another visitation, be sure to let me know.
It's not quite haunted, friend, but sure.
Now, let us return to the subject of the Scion's whereabouts.
I like that he actually believed me just off the bat.
This map shows the lands of Norvrand, the only area to be spared the flood of light. The Crystarium is here, in the region known as Lakeland. To the north is the fairy kingdom of Il-Meg. That is where you'll find Urianger. To the east lies the once prosperous civilization of Rak-Tika. Your Stola is stationed there, in the heart of the forest. Alas, neither location can be reached without considerable difficulty. As such, I would suggest you first seek out one of the twins, each of whom is stationed but a short flight from the Crystarium. Alphino is on Calusia, an island off the western shore. It is home to a city called Yulmore, where the rich and privileged while away their days in idleness. For his part in furthering our cause, Alphino journeyed there to meet with the citizenry and forge alliances. From what I hear, he has since kept himself busy gathering information around the main settlement. Alize, meanwhile, traveled south to the arid wastes of Armarang. They lie upon the very edge of the inhabitable world, where the flood of light was halted. Those who dwell there live in constant fear of attack by the Sin Eaters. In contrast to her brother, Alize felt that her energies would better be spent learning about the enemy, and thus she sells her services as a guard, both to hone her skills and gather information on our foe. So, will it be Calusia or Armarang? It matters not which you choose to visit first. Simply inform me once you've made your decision, and I will see to it that you are provided with a suitable mount. Ah, but you must be wondering about Thancred. He has taken up with a new companion, and is presently engaged as a wandering hunter of Sin Eaters. Being ever on the move, his whereabouts are often difficult to ascertain, but I am certain your paths will cross ere long.
Well, Thancred has been here the longest out of everyone. Well, not that it'll matter much, but let's open this up. Leg armor. Those actually look quite nice, but as with all my other gear, this is no better. I say, first let's small talk. Your first order of business will be to reunite with Alphino and Alize. In so doing, the predicament here in Norvrand should become abundantly clear. As for communications with the source, Feoul will gladly serve as your messenger. If needs be, however, you yourself should be capable of making the journey between worlds. The device there will serve as a portal. Simply touching a hand to its surface will transport you to the location of the beacon I left in the base of the tower. In theory, at least. You must be talking about this, the portal to the source. So, I say we go looking for Alphino first. It's true, Alize will probably be more worried about us, but it's been a while since we've seen Alphino. The last time we really saw him in character was, well, but while he was awake anyway, was before he left for Garlemald. So let's go find Alphino. You'll visit Alphino in Calusia then? Excellent. As I mentioned, your destination is an island off the west coast, so you will need a mount capable of making the journey. Here's a letter of introduction. Present it to Zemgenmai, the master of beasts at Timenos Rookery, and he will take care of you. When you see Alphino, be sure to pass on my warmest regards. Sure. And we'll also take the quest for finding Alize. Ready to depart for Armarang? Alize will be overjoyed to see you safe. I know she was particularly concerned for your well-being. She impressed upon me how regrettable the timing of her summoning was. Repeatedly. Oh yes, I'm sure she did. I only hope that my part in sending you to her will garner me some measure of forgiveness. Here, This is a letter of introduction addressed to a man named Cassard, the master of a merchant caravan. There are few who know the ways of the desert as well as he does. Find him at the Amaro launch, and he will see that you reach your destination. Right. First things first, let's go find Alphino. He is kind of the person we've built the greatest bond with throughout this game, after all. Your face is unknown to me. What business do you have at my rookery? Let's see. A letter of introduction addressed to Zemgen Mai and signed by the Crystal Exarch. Signed by the Exarch, no less. Yes, I can provide you with an Amaro for passage to Kalusia. I will pick out a friendly whelp. An Amaro, you say? That's right. Mounts like my grey friend over there are a common sight in these parts. But I gather you hail from further afield. More accustomed to chocobos, perchance. I hear there are a few places where they ride little else. Seeing as you are plainly unaccustomed to riding Amaro, I think it best I accompany you on this flight myself. Any Zun worthy of the name could do it, of course, but the Exarch sent you to me. Ensuring you arrive safely is my responsibility. Gather your things and meet me at the Amaro launch. One of the junior tamers will attend to you while I ready the mounts. Alright, we'll do just that. And we'll do it the lazy way, via Ethernet shard. Yeah, there we go. Alright, Cassard is over there, but we won't speak with him yet. That'll be for later. You want to fly an Amaro to Kalusia? Well, I suppose the Master Zhenmai is going with you. Wait here, please. The Master should be along with the mount shortly. You can now travel to Kalusia, speak with the aspiring Amaro tamer to fly to the island. You can also use your ether compass to assist with locating ether currents in new regions. Should you lose this compass, speak with Jesren at the Amaro launch in the Crystarium to obtain another. Well, we don't plan on losing it. Lost compasses can also be replaced by speaking with Gibberlant at the Forgotten Titan Foundation back in Ishgard. Of course.
The whistling breeze, mute. The pounding surf, frozen. Time itself takes a breath. At light's edge, all is perfectly still. The world captured in a painting, locked in a moment. Music, faint and fleeting, drifts coastward on the lifeless air. And in the distance, beyond the broken earth, a city beckons.
We are arrived. This is the Cracked Shell Beach on the eastern edge of Kalusia. You should be safe here for the present. Compared to the mainland, Sin Eater attacks are far less prevalent, and the native beasts are not any more dangerous than elsewhere. It is the people you should be wary of. Spy you that city in the distance? That is Yulmore, the island's main settlement. It rivals the Crystarium in scale, and was once an ally in our battle against the abominations. For years, the Yulmoran elites have fancied themselves the masters of what remains of our broken world. They've gone as far as to offer the leaders of other settlements their protection, if we bend the knee. But to say their ideals are questionable would be putting it mildly. The Crystarium is one among many who resist their heavy-handed authority. And while we are not at war, our relationship with Yulmore is strained at best. It would be wise to conceal your ties with the Exarch during your stay here, especially in the vicinity of the city. I'm glad we understand each other. Now the Exarch has instructed me to divulge a secret that should make finding your friend a good deal easier. Listen closely. Alright. If you head south along the coast, you'll eventually come to a fisherman's shack. A friend of the Crystarium lives there, a man who goes by the name of Eivor. Eivor keeps an eye on everything that happens in Kalusia, and will be able to point you in the right direction. Just hand him a sprig of thyme. That will let him know you can be trusted. Here, this should be enough. Find your friend. I will stay here with the Amaro until you're ready to return. Alright, let's go and find Alphino. Now, notably, we cannot fly here. We need to find ether currents. Again. And there's already one to the northwest, but we'll have to get up on this hill here. We've already got some nasty things out here. Let's not fight any of these monsters. There's really no point. Let's grab this ether current. Why not? Not ether current, ether right. What am I talking about? Well, this will be the fisherman's shack. What you after? Fish? Crab? I think I've got an eel in a barrel somewhere if you've a taste for 'em. Not quite. A fragrant herb commonly found growing along the floodplains of the source. Oh, I do love a bit of thyme. Chuck some in the pan and it's like a bloody festival of flavor. Now what is it I can do for you? Can't say as there's been many major upsets to report these past few weeks. Alphino, eh? Aye, I know the one. A young champion of the downtrodden. Yulmore is richer than all of Norvrant put together, but it's a different story for them as live outside the city. Most spend every waking moment just trying to stay alive, which makes your friend's dedication to helping others stand out all the more. Aye, I can hazard a guess as to where he is now, get a message to him, but you'll need somewhere quiet to meet, away from prying eyes. Make for Stilltide. That's the fishing village just up the path there. You're looking for a rundown excuse for a tavern the locals call the Leaky Keel. Wait there, and I'll see that Alphino joins you. Lovely. Well, probably should have just come straight here and then gone up, because we wind up going to this town anyway. Man, of all the monsters that had to exist in both the source and the first, we had to see a fucking Gubu here. Anyway, let's speak to the locals. Caddy. Aye, I think we've enough for the moment. Fish keeps us healthy, see, and everyone needs to eat their share. A local merchant. You have nothing to say, so... I have attuned to this, right? Oh, yes. Mender, you probably have nothing to say. We're not doing any of these random-ass quests. So, let's go find Alphino. Yes, dear? Buy a drink or out you go. The seats are for paying customers. Huh, not very friendly, are you? It's your first time in a tavern. It's customary to buy a drink if you mean to loiter. What'll you be having? Mead. A fine choice. What'll you be paying with? Gil, of course. Well now, those are exotic. Where did you come by coins like that? I'm sorry, dear, I don't doubt they have value, but I don't have a touchstone to test their purity. I'm not about to go begging for one from the neighbors, so we'll just have to come to some other arrangement. Here's an idea. There's a common to the north where we grow our vegetables, but lately the pests have been eating more of them than we have. What do you say to a bit of extermination work? I want you to squash any vermin you find, then visit the caretaker and give him an earful from me for sleeping on the job. He'll be in the old silo next to the fence, snoring like as not. Do that for me, and you can laze about here as long as you like. That's fair. Wow, that's a bit of a walk, isn't it? It'll give us a better lay of the land, anyhow. And like as not, our first ether current. There it is. Alright, and just as in previous places, Kalusia has 10 to find in the world and 5 done through quests. Let's find these pests and put them to the sword. Oh, they're bugs. Let's see, looks like they're growing grapes over here. Well, they gotta get their wine somewhere, I suppose. Oh yeah, let's get our chocobo out to play. Lovely. Now let's find the groundskeeper. Tell him to stop lazing, so I don't have to do his job anymore. No response. Maybe you need to knock louder. No response? Perhaps the occupant is hard of hearing. You hear a faint squeaking from the room beyond. Time to bust in and save the day, brave adventurer. No one is home, and judging by the lack of furniture, they haven't been for some time. The odd scraps of vegetables on the floor suggest rats have taken up residence in their absence. Oh well. Maybe he made for greener pastures. Welcome back, dear. What did that good-for-nothing caretaker have to say for himself? Not a whole lot, as it turns out. Gone? Must have left to join with the rest of the hopefuls. In Gate Town, outside Yulmore? You don't have a clue what I'm talking about, do you? And there I was thinking you were another dreamer. Well, never mind all that. Take a seat wherever you like, dear. You've more than earned it. I'll even throw in another drink on the house. Lovely. Sure Foxy could use a drink after all that's happened.
And how is business today, Mistress Theva?
Oh, frenetic. Look, I have a new customer.
Tis good to see you, my friend. The barley seeds you wanted. They should produce a better harvest than the last.
What, just like that? Oh, Alfino, you really are a dear. Well, I'd best be tidying up some of those empty shacks before the pests move in. Keep an eye on the place while I'm out, eh?
It seems an age since last we spoke. Not since the prisoner exchange in Doma. And Yotsu. It has been even longer for me, of course, if you count the days I've spent here. But the time has only added to the relief I feel seeing you safe and well.
Me? I thought I was more worried about you.
Huh. Alize said much the same thing. I don't think I've ever had such a scolding. But I believe an exchange of news is in order. Come, tell me of your arrival and all that came before.
Oh, we've got a lot to tell you. Though Alize probably told you about Xenos.
I see. Both the Exarch and Alize told me what they knew of events, but I had stubbornly clung on to the hope that all-out war might yet be avoidable. And poor Tataru. She must be sick with worry. We must endeavor to return as soon as we may. It would be nice to bring her good tidings for a change. But before we bid this world farewell, we must first ensure that it is not rejoined to the source. We must prevent the 8th Umbral Calamity. Urianger's vision of the future has, I fear, every chance of coming true. By his description, the catalyst for the calamity was a formless and deadly weapon employed by the Garlean Empire. Which can only mean one thing. Black Rose. Gaius was telling you the truth. When we were on the trail of the Ascians, we saw evidence that the gas was being manufactured once more. Gaius was adamant that the project had been scrapped. But so long as there are wars to be waged, there will always be those determined to win by any means. And thus simply destroying the existing stores of Black Rose would do little to alter fate's course. In that sense, our involuntary journey here to the First was something of a boon. Together with the Exarch, we've developed a theory as to how we believe the rejoining will be set in motion. I'm sure Urianger himself will cover the subject in more detail. But I can tell you the process requires that both worlds, the Source and the First, be facing an existential threat. One being Sin-Eaters, of course. They are a menace that I would dearly love to remove, and not just to avert a calamity. I may be a stranger to this world, but I will not stand idly by and let innocent people be slaughtered.
You haven't changed.
That is what brought me to the gates of Yulmore. Ignoring its pretensions as a kind of capital city to what remains of the world, it is nonetheless a center of power and authority. If any solutions are to be found, I believe our search should begin there. What say you, old friend? Hungry for another adventure?
You know it.
And so we take to the road once more.
It's good to have Alphino back, isn't it? But now is a good time to pause. We've made it to the First, everyone. And we've made it back to one of our old companions. It's good to see Alphino alive and well. But it seems he's got a plan. Like he always does. Well, we'll see what that is in the next episode. Until then, my name is Foxy Games. I'll catch you next time. Take care, everyone. Bye.